Imagine looking up at the night sky tonight and seeing something that changes everything. A massive shadow blocks out the stars. Lights pulse in patterns we've never seen before. And in that moment, humanity realizes we are no longer alone. What would happen in the first hour, the first day? How would our world transform when aliens finally make contact? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most mind-bending scenarios our species could ever face, and the answers might surprise you more than you think. The moment alien spacecraft enter our atmosphere, everything changes in ways most people never consider. Within seconds, every major government's early warning systems would be screaming alerts. Satellite networks would detect anomalous objects moving at impossible speeds, and radar stations worldwide would register signatures unlike anything in their databases. But here's what's truly terrifying about first contact. It wouldn't be the movies where we get dramatic speeches and time to prepare. It would be chaos, confusion, and a complete breakdown of normal communication channels. Military bases would scramble jets within minutes, not to welcome our visitors, but because protocols exist for unknown aerial phenomena that could represent threats. The first humans to interact with aliens might not be scientists or diplomats. They could be fighter pilots or radar operators, people who are trained to react first and analyze later. Within the first hour of confirmed alien presence, our interconnected world would face its greatest communication crisis in history. Social media platforms would crash under the weight of billions trying to share footage. Cellular networks would overload as everyone tries to call loved ones simultaneously. And news organizations would struggle to separate legitimate reports from the flood of hoaxes and hysteria. But here's where it gets really interesting. Alien technology might interfere with our communications in ways we can't predict. Electromagnetic pulses from their propulsion systems could disrupt satellites. Their scanning technologies might overwhelm our internet infrastructure. And if they wanted to communicate with us, they might accidentally jam our own signals in the process. Imagine trying to coordinate a global response when the very tools we rely on for communication, radios, phones, internet, are failing exactly when we need them most. The isolation would be immediate and terrifying. Entire regions could be cut off from the outside world, not by alien intention, but simply as a side effect of technology so advanced they disrupt our primitive systems without even trying. While civilians scramble to understand what's happening, governments worldwide would activate protocols most citizens don't even know exist. DEFCON levels would shift. Nuclear submarines would receive coded messages, and deep underground bunkers built during the Cold War would suddenly house the world's most powerful leaders. But here's the reality that might shock you. There is no unified global plan for alien contact. Each major power, the United States, China, Russia, the European Union, they all have different protocols, different assumptions, and potentially conflicting interests. What happens when China views the aliens as a potential ally, while the United States sees them as a threat? What if Russia decides to attempt communication while NATO prepares for war? The greatest danger in first contact might not come from the aliens themselves, but from humanity's inability to present a united response. Military leaders trained for terrestrial conflict would find themselves completely out of their depth, facing technology that could make our most advanced weapons look like stone tools, and strategic thinking that might be based on completely different concepts of space, time, and conflict. While governments mobilize, ordinary people would face the greatest psychological shock in human history. Imagine every assumption you've ever had about our place in the universe suddenly shattered in an instant. Religious communities would grapple with theological implications that could shake faith to its core. Scientists would question fundamental theories they've spent their careers defending. And families would face the terrifying question of whether their children have a future on a planet that's no longer exclusively ours. The economic impact would be immediate and devastating. Stock markets would crash as investors flee to where exactly? Gold? Real estate? What has value when aliens possess technology that could reshape matter itself? Grocery stores would empty within hours, not because of supply chain issues, but because people would panic buy everything they can carry. Banks might close, not due to runs on deposits, but because the fundamental concept of currency becomes questionable when facing a civilization that might view our economic systems the way we view ant colonies. The social fabric that holds civilization together, trust in institutions, belief in the future, confidence in human supremacy, all of it would unravel faster than we can imagine.
But let's pause the human drama for a moment and consider something most people overlook in alien scenarios. Why would they come here now? After billions of years of cosmic evolution, what makes this exact moment in human history significant to beings who might have been traveling the stars since before our solar system formed? The timing might not be coincidental. We're at a unique point in our development, advanced enough to be interesting, but not advanced enough to be threatening. We have nuclear technology, space travel capabilities, and global communications, but we're still confined to one planet and haven't mastered interstellar travel. To an advanced civilization, we might represent a fascinating case study, a species on the verge of either breakthrough or self-destruction. But their motivations could be far stranger than we imagine. What if they're not here for us at all, but for something else entirely? Our planet's unique magnetic field, a rare mineral in our core, or perhaps they're fleeing something even more powerful than themselves, and Earth is just a convenient stopping point. The most unsettling possibility is that we might be as relevant to their visit as ants are to us when we're hiking through a forest. We notice them. We might study them briefly, but they're not the reason for our journey.
The biggest assumption humans make about alien contact is that communication would be possible at all. We imagine universal translators and peaceful exchanges of ideas, but the reality could be far more complex and frustrating. Consider that these beings might communicate through methods we can't even perceive. Electromagnetic fields that create meaning through color and pattern. Chemical signals that carry complex emotional and intellectual content. Or quantum entanglement effects that allow instantaneous thought sharing across vast distances. Our language is based on sound waves, creating temporary pressure changes in air, a concept that might be as foreign to them as echolocation is to us. Even if they understand our attempts to communicate, the concepts we consider fundamental, time, space, individual identity, life and death, might be completely meaningless to beings who exist partially in dimensions we can't perceive, or who experience reality in ways that transcend our linear understanding. They might be trying to communicate with us right now, through methods so advanced or alien that we interpret them as natural phenomena. Solar flares, quantum fluctuations, or gravitational anomalies, never realizing that each pulse and pattern contains libraries of information we're simply not equipped to decode.
Assuming we survive the initial chaos of first contact, the long-term changes to human society would be more profound than any revolution in our history. Every institution we've built, religions, governments, educational systems, would need to be fundamentally reconsidered. How do you maintain national boundaries when beings exist who can travel between stars? How do you preserve religious doctrine when faced with evidence of life that might predate your creation myths by millions of years? The psychological impact alone would reshape human identity in ways we can barely comprehend. We would no longer be the apex species, no longer the most intelligent life we know of, and possibly no longer in control of our own planet's destiny. But this transformation might also represent the greatest opportunity in human history: access to technologies that could solve climate change, cure diseases, extend human life indefinitely, and allow us to join a galactic community we never knew existed. The question becomes whether humanity can adapt quickly enough and unite effectively enough to take advantage of this opportunity rather than being overwhelmed by it. Some humans might choose to remain on Earth and maintain traditional ways of life, while others might seek to integrate with alien civilization, creating a permanent division in the human species that could lead to branching evolutionary paths. The question, what if aliens landed on Earth right now, forces us to confront something much deeper than science fiction scenarios. It challenges us to examine what makes us human, what we value about our civilization, and whether we're prepared for our role in the universe to change forever. The reality is that we might not get to choose when or how this happens, and our response might determine not just our survival, but our relevance in a cosmic community that's been waiting for us to mature enough to join. The most important preparation we can make isn't technological or military. It's psychological and social, learning to adapt, to question our assumptions, and to work together as a species rather than as competing nations. Because when that moment comes, when we look up at the sky and realize we're no longer alone, everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe will change. And the only question that will matter is whether we're ready to take the next step in human evolution.
So, what do you think would really happen if aliens landed tomorrow? Would humanity unite or fragment? Would we be ready for the greatest change in our history, or would we repeat the mistakes we've made with every other first contact in human history? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this video made you think differently about our place in the universe, hit that subscribe button for more cosmic curiosities that will blow your mind. Until next time, keep looking up.